The ancient Greeks and Romans founded two of the Western world's great civilizations, producing a rich array of contributions to the arts, theater, literature, politics, and philosophy that have long influenced Western thought and culture. Yet these civilizations were also great conquerors, ruling large parts of Europe, Asia, and Africa around the Mediterranean Sea. The ancient Greeks never formed an actual nation, but instead existed as a series of city-states across Macedonia, or mainland Greece, the cluster of small islands called the Cyclades, the larger island of Crete, and the surrounding region. All Greeks, however, shared a common culture, and often cooperated to defend against outside invaders and in events such as the Olympic Games. They also sometimes warred, and various city-states, including Athens and Sparta, at times effectively controlled the politics and money of the Greek city-states. The artistic periods of ancient Greece reflect large shifts in Greek thought about the arts, much of which occurred in response to the growth of Greece and changing political and military conditions among the Greek city-states. Prehistoric Greece includes the Cycladic, Minoan, and Mycenaean civilizations. Cycladic art is centered on the Cycladic Islands. Minoan art, named for the legendary King Minos, originates on the island of Crete, and Mycenaean art is from the Greek mainland. These prehistoric civilizations formed the foundation for Greece, though they were largely destroyed and dormant from 1200 to 900 BCE. This was followed by the geometric period. During this period, city-states formed, populations grew, and Greece resumed wider regional trade. As the name suggests, art during this period is largely characterized by abstract geometric patterns. After the geometric period came the Archaic period, when artists produced the first life-size human statues in Greece, constructed massive stone temples, and developed black and red figure vase painting. The Classical period came next, beginning in 480 BCE with the Greek victory over the Persians, when it seemed that Greece itself would be swallowed into the massive Persian Empire. It continues through the rule of Alexander the Great, ending in 323 BCE. Classical artists developed strict ideas about ideal proportions in sculpture and architecture, and this period is often considered the Golden Age of Greece. The Classical period is then followed by the Hellenistic period, which spans from 323 BCE with the death of Alexander the Great to 30 BCE with the death of Cleopatra and Mark Antony and the incorporation of Greece into the Roman Empire. During this period, centers of power spread from Greece outward to Syria, Egypt, and Asia Minor, and Greek culture became much more cosmopolitan. Emotion and movement came to the forefront as subject matter expanded to include the poor, elderly, and other realistic subjects. While Greece always occupied a broad geographic area, Rome began as a single city that was little more than a settlement on the Italian peninsula. Yet Rome grew over time to become one of the largest empires in human history, effectively ruling all of the Mediterranean. A rough map of the empire would look something like this, with all of the area surrounding the Mediterranean controlled by Rome, including North Africa, Egypt, Asia Minor, Greece, Western Europe, and Great Britain. Roman art and architecture came to encompass great building projects like the Colosseum, aqueducts that carried water for hundreds of miles, expansive roadways, and arts ranging from large-scale public sculptures to private frescoes and grandiose homes. Yet by no means was the Roman Empire always civilized. War, barbaric gladiator fights, slavery, and religious persecution are among a few prime examples of the violence of empire that balanced Rome's expansive cultural richness. The artistic periods of Rome reflect the changes in political organization and power that characterized the city's rise to empire. Roman arts were largely dependent on wealthy patrons, and the various leaders of Rome had dramatic impacts on the arts through the elevation and funding of artists and execution of massive public building projects. Rome was founded in 753 BCE, when the legendary brothers Romulus and Remus founded the city. According to myth, Romulus, after whom the city is named, killed his brother Remus shortly after the city's founding. This began the Etruscan period, which lasted until 509 BCE. Though Etruscan art and architecture is similar to that of ancient Greece, the Etruscans had a unique style that included wood and mud brick temples and terracotta statues. This was followed by the Republican period, which began in 509 BCE when Rome expelled the Etruscans, and came to form what we now acknowledge as one of the first and most vibrant democracies. This period continued until 27 BCE, and includes the rule of some of Rome's most well-known rulers, including Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. As Rome conquered its neighbors in Italy and expanded into Greece during these years, the influence of Greek art and architecture grew on its Roman counterparts. What began with a great deal of mimicry, however, turned to innovation, including the development of concrete. The Republican period was then followed by the Imperial period, which began in 27 BCE after Augustus formed the Roman Empire with the defeat of Mark Antony and Cleopatra, and lasted until 337 CE. Though the influence of Greece is very apparent, Roman art and architecture developed a distinct style, and some of its grandest works, including the Colosseum and the Pantheon, were built during this period, funded by the emperors of Rome through vast building projects and artistic patronage. The Roman Empire, like ancient Greece before it, eventually fell as a result of internal political and economic realities and external forces, including invading armies. Yet the Greeks and Romans had cemented their role in Western history. If we look at the timelines for Greece and Rome together, we can see that there is a long period of coexistence before the Greeks were absorbed into the Roman Empire. The combined political and cultural influence of these civilizations is hard to overstate, and art produced by both has a history and legacy that reaches both far before and far after their periods of empire.